We are the Screen Team. We are back for another half hour of movie reviews for you, and I'm being joined with this first review by the ever lovely, the ever talented Laura Butler.
Yes, that's me.
It's good to see you, and I wanted you on this particular movie because this is a movie I grew up with. This is a movie that I've loved, and I wanted to share it with you. And I'm pretty sure that you're going to say that this movie was incredibly awesome. The movie we're talking about is My Blue Heaven with Steve Martin and Rick Moranis and Joan Cusack, and just right there, that's the greatest movie of all time right there.
I disagree.
We're going to get into her opinion here in a second. But basically, My Blue Heaven, we've got our two main characters. We've got Rick Moranis, who's an FBI agent, and we've got Steve Martin, he works for the mob.
Yeah.
He's kind of a bad dude.
He thinks he's a bad dude.
He's a bad dude, and he's ratting on his fellow mobsters, so he's in the witness protection program. So he's from New York originally, and the witness protection program puts him in basically the most boringest city in the United States of America.
Yes, Fryville.
What is it called?
Fryville.
Fryville? It does sound pretty boring. So you got this mobster who sticks out like a sore thumb in this clean-cut community in the West Coast somewhere in the desert, and he can't help it. He keeps getting into trouble. And comedy ensues, and funniness ensues. Laura, are we right?
There are some pretty funny parts in it. Rick Moranis cracks me up because he's always just so deadpan throughout. I mean, he's just like, he's not, usually his character is not like really excitable. He's like, mwah, mwah, mwah. His character is like Charlie Brown's teacher's voice. They go together. Right. But in this movie, I like this one particularly with Rick Moranis because he kind of comes out of that mold a little bit as the movie goes on. And his affiliation with this mobster, he's like the wallflower, bottom level FBI, just basically paperwork and garden babysitting prisoners. That's all he gets to do. And his wife leaves him because he's boring and he has a plan on how to eat his cereal and everything. So he's just very, very boring.
He's prepared.
Yeah, he's boring. But he meets Steve Martin, who is ridiculous. He's ridiculous in this movie. His accent is so terrible. It's the funniest part of the movie, his hair and his accent, because he's just like, hey, what you doing? It's like Joey off of Friends. He's like, how you doing? Yeah, that's how Steve Martin does his voice. But when they come together, like complete total opposites, and like they just mesh, and they're like, Steve Martin's character is really not mean. He's just he just knows how to do wrong and do it well. So, and Rick Moranis' character is just straight laced. No, this is regulations. This is why we do this. This is why we do this. So when they come together, it's just a meld of hilarity, really. Yeah. There's so many funny lines in the movie. I tried to remember this one line. They go to New York to testify in this case, and Steve Martin's character, I can't remember his name, Vinny. Yeah. Vinny goes to this bar. He sneaks out. He tells Rick Moranis that he needs to fold his new pants and hang them up or they're going to be wrinkled, and he throws a fit about it. Yeah. So he takes his pants down to get them pressed, and he really just leaves him with no pants. Right. So Rick Moranis has to go chase him down in his trench coat with underwear on, and he comes in, and I can't remember the line, but he's like walking out, and he says something to him that's just, it's completely crazy. I laughed for like 3 minutes, and I cannot remember the line, but just remember that part. Watch for the nightclub line, because it's the funniest line in the whole movie. I enjoyed the scene right before that when they get off the airplane to New York, and Steve Martin had already like invited all his family to meet him at the airport, and Rick Moranis is like, what are you doing? Why are you, no, you're supposed to be keeping a low profile. He's like, I just told a few people, it's all right. And then he's like, oh, there's my mama. My mama's here. I don't want to see my mom with my handcuffs. And he's like, I can't do that. No. He's like, come on, I gotta hug my mama. And he's like, all right. And then he hugs him, and they're like, hey, meet my friend. And then he's the maker of the rotary engine. And basically he leaves and leaves the FBI agent to defend for himself with his family. So so many funny scenes, and I gotta honestly know,
did you like this movie?
When I first started watching it, I didn't like it because I was like, "Oh my gosh, his voice is ridiculous." Like it was a little bit overacted on Steve Martin's part.
Yeah.
But as I went through the movie, I realized that it was on purpose.
It was campy, very campy.
Yes, it was made to be that way. My favorite character in the movie was the FBI agent that plays alongside
Rick
Moranis,
yeah.
because he's just crazy. He just does all this random dumb stuff throughout the movie. It doesn't even fit really, but they just like throw scenes in with him doing just random ridiculous stuff. And but Joan Cusack was really good in this movie. She was so young. I was like, who is that? Oh yeah, she's on Runaway Bride, but she's really old in that movie. But yeah, she was good in this movie too. She's very crazy.
Yeah, I love all the dance scenes, where they're just kind of doing the whole, mamba stuff or whatever, It was just, I don't know, it's campy, it's silly.
It'll make you laugh.
But for some reason, for me, it's always an easy watch. It's always a watch where, like, if it's on TV or one of the cable networks or whatever, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna stop what I'm doing and I'm gonna watch it, even though I've seen it 20 times or whatever. It's just always been one of those movies for me that's been like that.
Yeah. Well, for me, Steve Martin is almost always campy. I don't really remember a movie that I've seen that he's been really very serious. I mean, you've got The Jerk and you've got Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, which is one of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
That's not a pillow, or those aren't pillows, is my favorite line in that movie. But all in all, I think this movie, I mean, it's pretty family friendly.
Yeah.
I mean, there might be a couple words or something here and there, but it's not really bad.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, there is one, I believe, F-bomb in it, but it's very, very, as far as the language goes, I think you can, it's very, very minimal.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's an easy watch, and I think it's a movie that the entire family can get into. The movie's called My Blue Heaven. Laura, thank you for doing the review with us. We appreciate it. We'll be back with a movie called School of Rock with Jack Black. Yeah, it's coming your way next right here on KWOC.